Welcome to the Church of Thomas. These are excerpts from the Awakenings in an Age of Angels. Wrote this several years back. This is the second chapter. Jesus' conception and birth. Around midsummer, the Holy Spirit came to Mary. She was a teenager betrothed to Joseph in the house of David. Her family felt that it was a solid, good match. Joseph was well on his way to a prosperous wood shop in town. It was his first marriage as well, because he had wanted to get a business and household established before he sought a marriage match. Mary's family jumped at the suggestion when Joseph mentioned that he was open to a match. Mary felt a bit overwhelmed by all the events converging on her. First her betrothal, then news about her third cousin Elizabeth's pregnancy. Now this call to carry a child that was destined for greatness. It was just too much. Mary had to see for herself. The Holy Spirit had told her that she had to accept this child willingly. She was told that she would not be stoned if she bore this child. The marriage ceremony was only a couple of weeks away. She hoped that Elizabeth could shed some insight on this strange and dangerous offer. Elizabeth had always been a good listener as far as Mary was concerned. Mary felt that even being ancient at 45, she seemed to understand what a young heart needed. Mary asked a male cousin who went regularly to market in Jerusalem to escort her to Elizabeth's home. Since coming of age, Mary had made a couple of trips with him as an escort. He liked her singing, so it was not so bad as having a kid in tow. He always told Mary that she was good at selling. Elizabeth lived near Bethlehem, so it was not far out of the way. The selling at the market would only mean that there would be a few days of delay. Mary had offered to help, crying out about the virtues of the vegetables he was selling. She would never have gone alone on a trip without a male relative as an escort, because it would be unseemly. When she arrived at Elizabeth's home, she was half hoping that the angel's visitation had been a dream. If Elizabeth's pregnancy was malicious false gossip, it would be easier to explain away this angelic offer. Calling to the door to warn Elizabeth of her arrival, she expected a slender form to greet her. Then that slender form would help put the donkey and cart away for the night. Like most homes, there was a holding pen in the main room for large animals. These animals would cause severe mischief, more than just getting underfoot. Only temples and mansions like Herod's had separate housing for animals. It would be a waste of space, time, and body heat to separate the animals from the people, especially in town. Mary's momentary hope was dashed seeing a smiling, glowing relative who was well along in a pregnancy, waving hello from the doorway. She did her best not to gape. Then the importance of her purpose in coming started sinking in. She bought time by helping Elizabeth lay out the afternoon meal, but it does not take long to put a chunk of bread out with a bit of cheese. When the blessing was said and Elizabeth broke the impasse, "So what's going on? Come to see if it was really true about my new little one on the way?" From the chagrin on Mary's face, she knew that that was part of it. But being very in tune with this young woman, who could have been her granddaughter, Elizabeth felt there was more to it. There was a big question mark behind the smile. Mary started with her favorite diversion tactic. She said, "I heard a story recently that I like your opinion about." As Elizabeth nodded, Mary started. "I heard a woman whispering to herself that an angel had come to talk to her." Elizabeth nodded, saying that that was not unheard of. Then that woman said to herself that the angel told her she would get pregnant in an unusual manner. At this, Elizabeth just smiled and looked at her own swelling belly. Mary got the point and smiling back. Then the woman said, "But I'm not married or a loose woman." Elizabeth's smile faded. This was dangerous ground. Then she nodded for Mary to go on. "The angel said I would not carry the child to the stoning grounds, that I would be protected. Elizabeth, being very wise, asked, "Has this woman gotten pregnant yet?" Elizabeth did know the herbal lore that might help this woman. Mary understood the possible implications and shook her head. She had come to the right person in her life for advice. Then Mary broke down, saying, "No, I'm not pregnant. I'm still untouched by a man. This child is supposed to be great in the one with no name's eyes someday. I'm supposed to choose if this will happen. What am I supposed to do? My wedding is only a couple of weeks from now. Joseph has been kind to me. He brought me a nice serving bowl the other day. How can I hurt him?" On the verge of tears, Mary stopped and looked up. Elizabeth had a strange look on her face. It was not upset or anger or pity. The next question came with a totally lack of expression. Elizabeth asked, "Did the angel promise anything besides protection? Did the angel try and talk you into this? Or offer money or power? Or just protection?" And Mary did not understand. She said, "No, the angel only offered protection. Why?" Elizabeth started to smile. And as she did, she gathered Mary into her arms. Elizabeth laughed, saying, "It is not from the evil that this has come. If protection was offered with this child, it will be given. You still need to make up your mind, but I would say that this was a visit from an angel. But remember, protection does not mean this path will be smooth, pain-free, or without hardship." Elizabeth continued, "Of course, a woman's life is seldom without pain. I was married when my miracle came, so on the rest I cannot advise you. To be asked to do this for the one with no name is a great honor, though I'm not sure what I would do. If you do agree to carry this child, I will help if I can to diffuse the gossips. I have grown tired of their wagging tails about my blessed child anyway. Joseph is the only real problem I see here. I'd let the angel figure that one out. If your wedding bed is considered normal, a couple of weeks' variation in a birth is not remarkable. Trust in the messenger if you decide that this is a burden you can take on. Now eat your cheese." The rest of the visit went well. Mary at least felt that she had an idea of the problems now, and a smiling and thoughtful Elizabeth waved goodbye. Elizabeth went directly to pray. Mary was going to need it. On the way back home, Mary never could figure out when. Her devotion to the One triumphed over her trepidation. That night the angel came saying that she would be carrying her first fruit, a sacred child named Jesus. The angel came knowing that her decision had been made without asking her, because the One knew her heart and her acceptance. The Holy Spirit gave her the promised child and a human twin to be Jesus' companion as he grew up. Mary found out later that a dream was sent to instruct Joseph in his duties to the One. The marriage bed was as expected, and no comment was made. Later, the liars started a rumor that Mary had relations with someone on her trip to see Elizabeth. It planted the seed for the people prone to mean talk and slander. It did not matter to Joseph, and Mary never responded to the baiting. A couple of months